In one hand, I'm holding a graphite pencil set that shines like normal graphite pencil does. And in my right hand, I'm holding a graphite pencil set that does not shine because they are made of carbon matte. Hi everyone, welcome to Ece Gurler Art. In my last tutorial, we compared these carbon matte pencils with normal graphite pencils, which were Staedtler Mars Lumograph. And at the end of this video, you will have a clear idea about where to use these carbon matte pencils and where to use the actual graphite pencils in your portraits. Time to see the difference. First, I'm going to start with Staedtler Mars Lumograph. The first thing I realize is how easy to draw with this pencil, and also it blends so softly. I really love blending with Staedtler Mars Lumograph. When it comes to darker parts, I use 8B shade and it really works well. It is so dark. When I tried to blend it with a tissue, I had zero problems. Everything blended so well. I used my Faber-Castell kneaded eraser and it erased so easily. It picked up the graphite right away. But when I tried to give the details in the eye, I realized that it was not giving that thin, fine point that I was looking for. I really sharpened my pencil, but still, it was very difficult to get those lines in the iris. But when it comes to erasing with my Tombow Mono eraser pencil, it erased so well. There was no issue whatsoever. Even though I had a few layers there, it erased with no problems. If you want to check out my supplies, the list of all my drawing supplies are in the description part. Then I tried with my 8B to give all these darker details in the eye, and even though the darker shade worked much better, it wasn't as thin as I was aiming for. You can see that I'm holding the pencil from the very back or in the middle to give these darker shades here, and I had no problems shading. Shading with this pencil is really fun because it's almost gliding on the paper. By the way, I'm using vellum paper here, but you can use any kind of drawing paper, which I don't think it's going to really make a difference. I'm blending this dark area with my Q-tip, and again, I am having zero issues with blending. It is creating all these beautiful different shades of gray, and whatever left off on my Q-tip, I can just go back and create those midtones with my dirty Q-tip, and it worked really well. And for the lightest part, which is the lightest shade of the skin, I did some shading and I blended with my tissue, and you can see that it looks really natural, and I think it gave a really good depth to my drawing. Of course, I needed to give highlights with my eraser, and afterwards I added all these shadows to give it a more realistic look. And I can easily say that blending stumps also work really well with these pencils. When it comes to eyebrows, again, I had the same issue. I felt like I'm not getting the fine point that I was looking for. If you use the black colored pencil before, you know what I'm talking about. They are usually really thin. Problem here is that the root and the tip of the eyebrow looks the same to me. But when you do with a fine point, when you do with a colored pencil, the root is thicker, and as you go up to the tip, it's going to get thinner. But I don't see that here. And when I was doing my eyelashes too, I had a lot of fun because I think 8B shade is great. It's really dark and black, but again, I think it could be better if I had a colored pencil, or you know, some kind of pencil that has finer point. We will see if Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black is going to give what I want when I'm doing these eyelashes. I'm adding all these shadows now and I'm blending them. You know my step method. I'm shading, I'm erasing, and blending constantly. I'm repeating this cycle until I get enough depth that I was looking for. I'm toning the half of the nose with the same pencils as well, and it looks like it's ready. Now I can start Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black review. What strikes me right away is the richness and the darkness of the black. It was really beautiful. But when I was trying to shade, I had this feeling that I wasn't shading with a graphite pencil, but I was shading with a colored pencil. It had some kind of resistance, and it was kind of a little bit scary. And I was right, because when I tried to blend it with my tissue, you can see that it was not smooth. I could still see the tooth of the paper, I could still see the white of the paper, and it was not a perfect blending for me. But erasing wise, this pencil had zero problems. I could erase with my eraser pencil very easily. This is the lovely part. I could give the details, the fine points, much more easily with these pencils in comparison to Staedtler Mars Lumograph. And when I tried to blend, they blended just like graphites would blend, because colored pencils, you know, they don't blend very well, and charcoal blends like crazy, and this was just the right amount. And when I use my blending stump here, I realized it blends so smoothly here too. I was really positively surprised. But my eraser pencil didn't work very well when I had 2 or 3 layers in the eye, so I had to use my electric eraser. That's something to keep in mind. On the left, my eraser pencil by itself was enough. Adding the darker shadows was really fun, because I like how black this is, and I'm using again 8B shade. And when I blend, I felt like I was working with charcoal. It was that black, and I was really impressed by the richness of this black. When I tried to erase with my kneaded eraser, I had no issues. I just had to press a little harder, that was it. Before I add the eyebrows, I want to add my base tone, which is going to be the lightest gray here, but I have a bad feeling it's not gonna blend really well. We will see if it's going to work well with toning. Yeah, I was right. It didn't blend as smoothly as Staedtler Mars Lumograph, but hey, the details, perfect. So what I would suggest, probably doing the basic shading and toning with Staedtler Mars Lumograph, but adding all the other details and the dark shadows with Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black, because I don't think they blend really well in the larger areas. I'm applying my SAP method again, shading, erasing, and blending, and I love what I'm getting in the end. When I draw the eyelashes, I realize that they're darker, and I love how thin they look. So they look more realistic and more lifelike. With this richness in black and their thinness, I think they are more lifelike. Let me zoom in and show you the lower part of the eyelashes, and you will understand what I'm talking about. When you compare it with the left, you can see that they are more opaque and they have a finer point. Again, with the shading, darkest parts, I have a little bit of anxiety because I know that it's not going to blend as well as it did on the left, but still it worked somehow and it doesn't look bad. But I think toning worked much better with Staedtler Mars Lumograph. Now, with the eyebrows, it worked much better with Lumograph Black because, again, with the same idea that we talked about in the eyelashes, they have finer point and they are really, really black. So it really works out well when it comes to giving these tiny little details with these Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black pencils. I'm giving the final details and then we will compare and I will share my opinions with you here. So both of them look great. If you look closely, you will see that Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black is darker and it created this kind of almost like a charcoal effect, and I am loving it. And when you look at closely, you will see that the details in this eye is much better and clearer than the left one, because I can see the details in the iris, I can see eyelash and eyebrow details, and so they look more lifelike. But when you look at Staedtler Mars Lumograph one, you can see the toning is much, much better because here, look closely. It looks like almost a real skin, whereas here I can see the white of the paper, I can see my pencil strokes. They didn't blend really well. So what does this tell me? If I were you, I would use Staedtler Mars Lumograph for the skin part, for toning the basic skin, and for the details, I would go for Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black. When you compare it to colored pencil, Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black is much easier to erase, and when you compare it to charcoal, again, Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black is better because it gives fine points much easily. You cannot get that with charcoal pencils. And you have a plus. As I discussed in my previous video, you will have less shine with Staedtler Mars Lumograph Black. If you don't have Staedtler Mars Lumograph pencils, or if you don't know which one to use, which graphite pencil to buy, then you should definitely watch this video, because in this video I compared all the top graphite pencil brands, and in the end I think it's going to have a huge impact on your decision.